Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Training Unleashed. I'm really looking forward to this one. We have a great guest, but before I introduce our guest, I want to thank our sponsors, C-Suite Radio and C-Suite TV, and of course, on behalf of the Learning Network, welcome everyone to the show. I have Elizabeth Lotardo. She is with McLeod and Company. She is a returning guest. She has a brand new book, Leading Yourself. I am so excited about this conversation because one of the questions that people ask me like the most, especially like when I do a speech or something of that nature is, hey, I work in a company and they don't share these common values or the whatever topic is I'm talking on. What do I do? How do I be? And the concept of self-leadership and taking control and ownership of your life is an amazing topic. And so I know that you don't want to give away the whole book because you want people to read the book, but
I'll give away a lot of it in the next session.
okay. But let me start with this question because you are known for your other books, the Noble Purpose series. And what was your noble purpose in writing this book?
My noble purpose in writing Leading Yourself was to give anyone, no matter the role they're in, no matter how annoying their boss is, no matter how overloaded their to-do list is, to give anyone the tools to create meaning, joy, and opportunities at work. That is the noble purpose of Leading Yourself.
Nice. So how do you do that?
Well, isn't that the question of the hour? So leading yourself is broken into three parts. It's mindset, behavior, and relationships. And what I found through studying self-starters, these people who are sort of inherently happy in their roles, despite messiness going on in their organization, was they had really specific abilities. They were able to see meaning in everyday mundane to-dos. They were able to build relationships with the people who matter. They're able to fuel their energy towards big goals instead of being drained by them. And those are things that, quite honestly, didn't come supernaturally to me. So as I dove into studying them and as I dove into the research, I was able to codify how to make those innate things that came so naturally to those people a learnable skill. And that's what Leading Yourself is filled with. Talk tracks, templates, exercises to help you become that person.
Well, I think to me that one of the beauties of your book is people are taking responsibility for themselves.
Mhm.
I think so often people blame others for unhappiness and others for ineffectiveness. I'm not good at work because I have a lousy manager. I'm unhappy in life because I have a terrible place to work. Do you see that, and how do you present that in your book?
I definitely see that. And I think we can hold two truths at the same time. You may have a not great leader who makes your life harder, and you have all of the tools you need to make your job experience better. Both of those things can be true. I don't want to deny someone's frustrations with the world of work because we all have them. But the more we dwell on them, the bigger they become and the less we see these potentially positive elements of work. And much like you, I experienced the same thing after a speaking engagement. People will come to me and say, I believe in purpose. I want to create this great workplace culture. I think things can be better. But insert my boss, our company, our products, our system, there's always something getting in the way. And Leading Yourself was written and designed to help you not ignore those problems, but overcome them and operate in the face of them. Because we know every job has parts that are annoying, every single one.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's for a moment pretend, because this show is Training Unleashed, that the job that the person has is they have a leadership role in a training department.
Okay.
Okay. And they know, because the whole concept of the show is that when companies embrace training, they unleash results, sales, better efficiencies, happiness at work, whatever their goals are. A lot of times, a lot of companies, training is second place. No, third, fourth, fifth. So what advice would you give somebody in a management role in a company that they believe in training, but the company isn't believing in the training?
Well, I think it depends on what you're after. Is this person in the role hoping to change the way their company views training, or do they just want to feel better at work? Which should we tackle first?
I think that the first is that they get their company to embrace training and then they become happier at work. And I only pick that because the show has a noble purpose, as we talked about before we started, of helping companies become better at what they're doing via the power of training. And maybe I'm not totally on your book. Maybe I'm hitting off. And if I am, just say so, because that's okay.
No, well, let's work with this. So, if you are in a training department, you're in a leadership role, and you want your organization to value training in a more bold way, that's the scenario, right?
Yes.
So there's a couple of things that you can do when you're leading around you, trying to influence your peers, trying to lead upwards. The first is articulate the ripple effect. So often we lose sight of this in the corporate world. We're focused on how much money we need to get training approved. We're focused on how frequently the training is going to happen. We're focused on in what order do we approach this. And when you articulate the ripple effect, you elevate the conversation. And I'll give you an example. Say you want to deliver a series of sales training for the sales organization. The immediate ripple effect of that is we're going to see more revenue. We're going to see greater customer retention. We're going to see the engagement of our salespeople improve because they will be hitting their quota, hopefully, as a result of this training. And that's what we sort of internally sell to, these surface level benefits. But let's push one greater beyond that. What happens to an organization when they have more money to invest in other things, when they have better customer relationships, and when their people are more engaged? When we start unpacking the ripple effect of this thing we're trying to get approved, this thing at the center, training program, we start to see training and how it's connected to our organization's employer brand. We're able to attract and retain top talent. What does that do to the way we interact with our customers? When we have better customer engagement and better customer retention, our customers are more likely to forgive us if we mess up in the future. Our customers are more likely to pay more and shop on price less. Our customers are more likely to give us candid feedback, which improves our product. When our salespeople are bringing in more dollars, we can invest in those new things. They're making more money, they're more engaged. And when you push to articulate the ripple effect, it takes a few minutes, but what you're doing in that situation is bringing purpose and meaning and these bigger picture things into the conversation that could so easily be transactional of, please approve this training program.
Well, I really like it because you're taking training from being a thing to being an emotion,
Mhm.
and that people can see that ripple effect as you're describing it. And I would imagine if you could add stories to the ripple where you said, so and so had this happen because of what we did the last time we did training, that would be really, really impactful.
Let's
Uh,
move to the other part of that question, which is if you're that person in a leadership role at a training department at an organization, how do you feel better? The answer was in the first part of this question. When you articulate the ripple effect you are having or could have as a result of what you're doing in the center, your frontal lobes light up. Yes, you're more influential on the people around you, but it helps you see what you're doing in context. It's no longer, let me schedule this training program. Let me make sure our materials are buttoned up. Let me make sure I sent everybody a reminder invite on their calendar. It becomes, I'm going to help this company take on the future. I'm going to help these people perform better at their jobs and by result of that live more fulfilling lives. And when you see your role of training in context, you change too.
I like that. I like that. I think people don't realize how much they impact themselves. And maybe take a moment. Where does one begin if you're going to lead yourself?
If you're going to lead yourself, the first step is to shift from waiting to creating. We all want meaning at work. We all want to feel valued. We want to work with people we like. We want to have opportunities. And so often we just sit patiently and wait for them. We say, maybe at the next job, maybe when I finally get the raise this year, maybe when I have more space in my calendar. The fundamental truth of leading yourself is you're not waiting anymore. You're not waiting for it to be perfect. You're not waiting for the stars to align. You're not waiting for your boss to get on board. You are doing and you're creating everything you want, even if it's not perfect.
So I have a saying, it's an odd one, but my saying is you're the author of your own life. And in part, what I'm hearing you're saying is really the same thing, which is you're leading your life, you're taking control of your life. Am I getting this right?
You're absolutely getting it right. And I heard you say that in the last episode you did. And I made a point to bring it up in this conversation. It sounds simple at first blush. You're the author of your own life. Of course you are. And so often we forget it because our boss is barking at us to go do something. And we have all these things going on. And we didn't pick the system we're working in. And we didn't design the products that we're selling. And there's all these things outside of your control. But when you shift to focus on what's in your control, everything changes. And you're surprised how many things are in your control or at least in your ability to influence.
Hey there, listeners. Time to take your training to the next level. The Learning Network has come out with Breeze, which is an online authoring tool. This is, like its name, a breeze. It is so easy to create engaging content your learners are going to love. But more importantly, you'll create content that will truly be memorable and truly retained by your listeners. Go to learning.net, schedule a demo, and check out Breeze. So I'm going to make another statement because this is the way I look at things. Let's just say I'm in a bad working environment. The company itself can still be doing amazing things,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, obviously I work for a training company, the Learning Network, and we make a huge difference, and especially particularly with virtual reality and the things that we're doing in the health field and safety field and things like that. We're literally saving people's lives, which is something to be really proud of. And, we're making people more effective at work and protecting people at work and doing great things. I think it's sometimes important to keep sight on that bigger picture, not just the immediate frustration you have. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And it's a tall order, especially when you're working virtually, where sometimes your impact, the good you're doing for your company or for the world, for your customers, loses its tether to you. It escapes your inbox and you don't see it actually come to fruition. All you see is what's immediately in front of you. And you miss how it connects to this other thing that the company is doing, how it's making an impact on this customer, how it's changing the way this industry is perceived in the case of training. And you have to be really intentional about bringing that impact to the fore because it's not going to come knocking in your inbox, at least my inbox. All that comes in is to-dos and objectives and OKRs and all of these things that matter. They're just not always immediately tied to the bigger picture. That work is on us to connect them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I've been thinking a lot about the workplace and socialization and happiness. And I think there's some people that love, especially if you're introverted, working from home. Then I think there are people that need the camaraderie of the office, going out to have lunch, going after work for beverages or whatever it is. And I would guess this isn't really part of your book, but how does choosing the job that you have, let, let me ask this question. Maybe this will be a better question. At some point, you may choose that the job you have doesn't fit your goals and needs and your own personal purpose,
Mhm.
right? How do you go about choosing what you should be doing and where you should be taking yourself?
Well, there's some guardrails on that decision, right? For a lot of people, they may be sitting there thinking, this job isn't emotionally fulfilling to me. But you have a mortgage and a family to support and some other guardrails that keep you from up and joining the Peace Corps. So when we think about choosing our next play or choosing whether we work from home or work in the office, we want to be really sensitive to what's giving us energy. Again, it doesn't mean it's going to be level 10 emotionally fulfilling every day. Just pay attention to when are you feeling energized and when are you feeling tired. For some people, that energy does come with being in an office, working for a big company, having that level of camaraderie. For others, it comes from doing deep work, potentially at home, working with a smaller, more intimate team, maybe at a startup. People and their priorities and where they get energy vary widely. And I think it is okay to accept that there is a level of nuance in this situation, and it's not going to be perfect. A lot of companies have taken the mandate approach. And while I think there's validity to in person gatherings, that is discounting huge wins for working from home from a quality of life perspective for your employees, from a deep work perspective without distractions. It's a messy topic, but whether you are or aren't in control of where you're working, you're certainly in control of what you do to propel your energy. You need to be aware of the things that take it away.
I think this leads to an excellent question. Can you share some examples of what takes your energy away and what gives you energy?
So, what takes your energy away and what gives you energy? Like I said, different widely because people are different widely. For me personally, one thing that gives me energy is conversations like this. I like talking about particularly training. We could have a 10-hour conversation because I'm a huge training nerd, but about the psychology of work, about how we change people's hearts and minds, how we elevate the work experience to be something that is more fulfilling and more towards a growth orientation, things that take my energy away. I had a giant problem with GoDaddy and SEO and all of these things not working together right before my book launch. And I just felt so drained because of it. For a different person, that problem would be energizing. They want to solve it. They want to get into the weeds and tinker and figure out what's not working together. For me, it felt draining because it's not in my sweet spot. There are elements of your current job that are going to feel draining. It just is what it is. We all have those parts. But the more you can point your mind towards the parts that fuel you, and the more you can use those parts to get you through the parts that might be draining, the better your overall energy is going to feel.
I love what you're saying. In particularly, I think when people start noticing, right? Because as you're sitting here speaking, I'm thinking about my job and what I do and what things give me energy and what things don't give me energy. And I love delegating the things that don't give me energy. I can tell you that. I can tell you that much.
We all
Not everyone has that privilege. But it's interesting as we have this conversation because I was listening to a futurist predict the future, and they predicted that work from home was going to die, that companies were going to insist that people go to work because they were going to be afraid of lack of productivity. And I thought to myself, I cannot imagine that happening. What I can imagine happening is that there will be companies that will require everyone to work from the office,
Mhm.
companies that will require at home work because they see it as a competitive advantage and they believe they're good at it. And there'll be people providing a hybrid option, and that people will be working at the companies based somewhat on how they wish to work. Because I don't see it becoming one winner in this place. I'm wondering what your thoughts are.
I agree with you. I cannot imagine a mandate of go back to the office unless the work you're doing is physically like you need to move this product from this box to
Right.
this box. These knowledge-based professions in which training is commonly one are probably going to settle somewhere in the hybrid spot. But whether you do or do not get to choose is kind of not the question. The question is, how do you respond to it? If you are waking up every day frustrated that your job is making you go into an office where you don't want to be, if you are assuming that they want you to be miserable, that there's no point of doing this, that's exactly what you're going to experience when you go to the office. Right, wrong, or indifferent, you are always in control of your own response. And if you are responding to whatever your organization has decided, maybe you don't want to work from home and your organization has decided to let go of their corporate life and you don't want to work on your laptop by yourself. If you are in disagreement with what your organization has decided, you are going to pay a steep price for that. And they're not going to pay the price. You are. You are going to wake up every day tired. No matter what their decision was, if you disagree with it, you're going to be tired, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be annoyed, you're not going to do your best work. And over time, it's going to start to sink into the rest of your life. You always choose how you respond. And in some cases, you may just have to accept it. If the trade-off is worth it and you wish you didn't have to go into the office 3 days a week, but you do, you got to accept it and let it go, because stewing on it is only costing you.
So this is what I'm hearing, is I'm hearing that each person is able to, we'll use the term, lead themselves, find and adjust and be more positive at work, not for the business, but for themselves personally, understand what gives them energy, what takes their energy from them. And if they still feel that that job won't be perfect for them, they have to weigh the cost reward.
Yeah.
Is the benefit of the job? Maybe it's the pay, maybe it's the location, maybe it's the timing. Maybe it's because you're at home and other jobs would require you to be in the office. You might be willing to, and in which case you now need to come to the recollection that that was your choice and thus happy because it was your choice.
Exactly, because it's always your choice. And we so often want to say, they're making me come back into the office. Will they show up to your house this morning? I don't think so. We are always at choice with where we go, who we interact with, how we spend our time. There's guardrails. We have bills to pay. You may not be able to live your dreams of being a scuba diver tomorrow, but you are still in control. And if you choose to go there, you got to own that choice.
Yeah, love it. Elizabeth, been very interesting conversation. I have no doubt that our listeners want to know more about you and your company, and maybe even talk about your other two books. Let everyone know. Tell us about yourself.
You can follow me on LinkedIn at Elizabeth Lotardo. You can also visit elizabethlotardo.com. My new book, Leading Yourself, is on sale everywhere you buy books. Amazon, independent bookstores, Barnes & Noble, whatever your fancy. When you order it this year, you get a free video book, which is 40 minutes of the most interesting and actionable bits, delivered by yours truly.
Okay, I want to get into that, but first you got to spell Lotardo, because to expect everyone in my
You're right.
audience.
You're right. It's my married name, Lotardo. Elizabeth Lotardo.
One more time on the spelling.
Lotardo.
Excellent. I also encourage people, of course, you can check us out on C-Suite TV, where you'll see your name. You can go to trainingunleashed.net, where you can see your name, read the bio, and see links. And of course, you can go to our YouTube channel, Training Unleashed Network. Back to the book. If you buy the book, you get access to a 50-minute video.
It's 40 minutes. It's a video book that I recorded, because a lot of my audience is not a reader. They love the idea of leading yourself. They want to feel more in control of their work experience, but getting through 200 something pages is tall order. So if a 40-minute video is more your speed, I got you with that too.
That's cool. That's the first I've heard of that. I mean, that's big arguments in my family about reading and viewing,
Yeah.
because I'm very dyslexic. So when I do a book, I listen to a book. But my wife loves to read for pleasure, and I love to watch TV for pleasure. And I go, what's the difference?
My husband is much like you. He's not a reader. I am. If you are watching this, you can see my huge bookcases behind me with tons of flagged books. But not everyone is. And I don't want to gatekeep. If you don't want to read a book, that's fine. That's your prerogative. Check me out on YouTube.
Good deal. So, Elizabeth, we always end the show with one tip. And if you have one tip to share with the audience, what would that one tip be?
Remember that you are never powerless. Your boss, your systems, your deliverables, they might have frustrations, but you are always in control of you.
I love that tip. That's a great tip. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. I want to thank my audience. I want to thank C-Suite TV and radio. And of course, on behalf of the Learning Network, I want to thank everyone for listening, and check us out on YouTube. I'm forgetting the podcast name, trainingunleashed.net. Take care.
Thanks for having me.